Good day, class of Web Programming Fundamentals. My name is C. Michael Fisher, and this is week 3 Reflections on Conditionals. The conditionals portion of the class has been pretty fun, actually, and is a big crux of programming, along with obviously the cores of assigning variables and just trying to make sure that you have good syntax and otherwise a solid code base. Conditionals give us the ability to let our users, or the people who are actually going to see the programs or the front end of things, make use of the program and see it in action, and then actually be able to affect it in some way, provide additives to the outcome. Otherwise, you just have nothing but static variables, and a static variable is not a variable at all, it's simply just a number, which isn't all that useful. The ability to have these variables be truly variable is what makes conditionals so useful. This is why I find this probably the key important part of the class, and I found the ternary operator to probably be the single most beneficial thing I learned in this portion. I actually hadn't known about it at all, and my JavaScript knowledge was already fairly limited. As someone who's coming from HTML and CSS, I'm already quite familiar with that, but that's not really code base, and it didn't provide any of the leverage or the usability that JavaScript does. And although I personally don't like to use JavaScript, it is quite useful when you just need that small tidbit of an extra feature to add to a website or to a small program for your web features. So being able to write conditionals lets me actually have a certain amount of user interaction, user interface to what I want my website or whatever the program or application is to do. For example, if I want on my personal business, something I'm trying to develop is my own content management system. In it, we have a portion where we're helping folks who want to write their own books. We have a questionnaire. Previously, I've been using a form, a very basic HTML, CSS, and extensible HTML form that asks a series of questions using drop-downs and radio buttons, and then it spits it back to me in an email. Well, this is only so useful. Really, a customer could just send this to me in an email. Really, I need some automation. Having things such as conditionals allows feedback or automated response, and being able to do this will finally allow me to automate some of the portions of my website that I want designed. The parts of this that I found most difficult, though, were definitely remembering everything. Although I do enjoy IDEs, I like to practice everything I do first in a text file and document, and then see if it'll work. It's just a basic text editor before I move into my development environment, because this way I get into the good practice of making sure I don't miss the semicolons, I don't miss any of the carets or the brackets or what have you, and that can take some time to get used to, especially when we're learning a new syntax. I've learned C in the past, and I've learned C++, but mostly C++, and although JavaScript does have some basis in C, there are a few differences, and that has been a bit of a trial. That being said, though, it wasn't overall terribly difficult, just mostly tedious in making sure that, okay, if you're going to use nested statements, do you have them all layered correctly? Are you using good indentation so you can keep track of the flow yourself? And then finally, commenting. While it is especially important for fire and forget programs and tasks like this, a lot of times you think to yourself, oh, why bother? I'm never going to look at it again. I have no reason to remember this. On the other hand, it's good to remember it this way in case you're like, you know what, I want to make a snippet out of that later. I can save that and you reuse it. It's probably good to do it. In taking an example from real life and then turning it into a complex conditional. Currently, in my business, I'm developing a card game with a few friends who are in the whole graphics design department. One of the hardest parts about this card game and developing it is trying to figure out, where do we go with any particular topic, and what do we add or not add? And at every point, it becomes an extremely exaggerated if-then-else statement, or if-else statement. So, for example, do we include a particular statistic? We start by saying, if we include it, what will be the ramification? And then we follow along with another series of conditionals that will go, well, will it add complexity? If yes, this might be a bad thing, take it out. If no, how, or maybe, how can we make sure it doesn't make the game too complex? how will we add it to the rules? Or the resulting piece of code, as it were, will become make sure you add a step or new terms to the rules. So if we decide to add a statistic or a graphic, make sure you add that to the card example on the first page of the rule set so that the player will know how to play the game. And at each stage, this is how everything in any sort of design or development process becomes an extremely complex conditional. No matter what you're doing, you can always break it down into, if I want to do this, what will be the resulting processes? Those resulting tasks and processes become your steps or your to-dos or your functions. Thank you, class. Again, C. Michael Fisher, Web Programming Fundamentals. Have a great day.